Hey everybody, I'm Dee, president of ProtectAI, and with me today is Chris King. And I saw Chris in the hallway after his webinar. I was watching it, and there was a little bit of information there about an AI attack against a model file. And I grabbed you and I was like, hey, we should talk about this separately. Let's start there. Let's talk about the attack.
Yeah.
I know you gave a little bit of depth. I'd like to go into a little bit more depth, a little more breadth around the attack, why it was so critical, why it was so impactful, and let's just start there.
Yeah, happy to. And so the specific attack you're talking about was this recent attack on a project called Ultralytics. Pretty interesting because this isn't simply a single AI model file being passed around with some corrupt content in it or remote code execution. Ultralytics, they package a model along with a lot of Python automation to basically allow you to use their tool. It's designed, it's incredibly popular way to run some of the YOLO models for things like OCR, character recognition.
Right.
It's super popular. It's a very effective tool. We're not talking about a malicious entity that has put this model out, intentionally. Someone compromised their ability to release software on PyPy, the Python package index. They released several versions, each embedding alongside of this basically malware that will turn your computer into a crypto mining host. And
Crypto mining. Yeah. Crypto mining and AI hijack at the same time.
You got to put those GPUs to work. We need to burn all the utilization out of them.
Absolutely.
So it's like the perfect example of where you deploy that particular attack. And so anyone downloading this model, they're going to get the package to actually load and use the model with all that nice automation, but that's going to be the vehicle that delivers the crypto mining malware to them. It's hit here, and you really need to have a broader perspective of understanding the assets that are in the model artifacts themselves, along with kind of the ecosystem software packages as well.
So it's not just the model file; it's all the things around it. So when we talk about, scanning of a model for a security problem, you're not just scanning one file.
Yeah.
Right. When you think about scanning a model, give a brief commentary on what that actually means, not just one thing.
Yeah, exactly. So like you said, it's not exactly one single artifact. In the case of Hugging Face, largest model repository in the world, you're seeing often dozens of files. Effectively, they're like little baby Git repos, but they're storing lots of artifacts together that when pulled down actually can be loaded and used for any kind of generative workload or any kind of inference workload.
Right.
You're also seeing automation embedded within them. And one of the kind of key tenets, the way we look at security, is because we know that the model artifact doesn't exist purely in isolation and we can't assume the best out of everything else in the world, we have to take a really opinionated stance at what's even actually running within the model, and is it even approaching a semblance of safety or security. Right. We simply can't just say we found this very explicit bad command in a model. We need to look at what's possible when those pieces play together.
Right. And you talked about Hugging Face. Obviously a great partner of ProtectAI. We're the default security scanner on that. It was picked up inside of that, and we actually flagged both the file and the model as kind of unsafe and needed to take some capabilities there. Talk about how our scanner embedded with Hugging Face, did that detection, how it classified it. Right. And then maybe talk about how Guardian, the enterprise-ready product that is used by customers all over the globe, governments all over, talk about that sophistication, that linkage between what we do and what we did for Hugging Face and what we provide our enterprise customers.
Sure. So the first thing is really get into the partnership of what we do. So working with Hugging Face, anytime there is a new update to a public model, or let's say a patch to a model or anything like that in the public space, we're getting an event trigger that within moments we can pick up our scanners, look at that artifact that was just released to the internet, scan all the resources within it, take our defined security posture and make that information available to every Hugging Face user, as soon as it's there, as well as all of our downstream Guardian customers. Another thing that we actually operate, you can get linked to from Hugging Face if you're looking at these security findings. It's called Insights DB. This is where we catalog all of our scanning resources, every scan that was done against every particular model and version, the outcomes of it. You get really deep understanding of what's happening there and some educational research. But you asked, how does this fit in with Guardian? How would we be protecting? What does that story start to look like? Well, information's really nice. That's what we're giving out to the world. We think it's really helpful that you can read and like make this.
Knowledge is free, advice is expensive.
But it has no teeth to really gate behavior or prevent something from happening in customer systems. And that's where we really focus Guardian, is giving you the controls as the person running that organization to make sure that these models are not entering or not executing within your environments. So in this case with Guardian, if a production customer had this running, what would happen as that model's trying to be fetched is one workflow that we do. Basically, we're going to hijack that request in real time, evaluate it against our proxy. They're going to go not just our security posture, they get to manage their own posture as well. So you know what, if they've decided they really like working with this particular org and they want to accept certain risks, we give you the flexibility. That's always fine. But we're going to give you really sensible defaults, allow you to gate it, and then simply that trying to load the Ultralytics application not even going to work any longer because the model resources haven't flown across the wire. You've basically prevented that threat from ever entering your enterprise or any of your content.
And I think that's one of the big differentiators between kind of what we do on the model security offering that we have versus a lot of competitors. Number one is that we would have detected this. And number two, we would have blocked it. It would have stopped. And even if it was inside, can you talk a little bit about, we talked about Guardian as a gateway, if you will, or a perimeter of defense and allowing more innovation. But once it's in, it really would have blocked this. I think that's a big deal because there are some people in this space who might have considered this a false positive, if you will. But we didn't and we don't because we're able to stay ahead of the threat components. Talk a little bit about how we do that.
Yeah, so first and foremost, kind of before I get into that, one really important thing, if you look at any of the findings on InsightsDB, we want to be very honest. We're not going to get everything right 100% of the time, but we think it's really open and important for us to kind of have a communication. You can submit any kind of dispute findings you have, as well as we have a whole ton of researchers, over 16,000, that are accurately finding new vulnerabilities across these models, reporting it, and we're expanding our scanners all the time. So it's this really nice flywheel of community research being aimed at this particular problem. And so now you have this kind of wisdom of the crowd thing going. We have these collective experts weighing in.
And getting paid for their findings.
And getting paid. That's a very important part of the balance. So we have this thing where they're being paid, they're being motivated, and they're showing up with some expertise in traditional cybersecurity. We've got our own internal AI researchers, people that are quite knowledgeable, and we start to see, again, I've mentioned defense in depth, but there are layers to how these things are integrated, and it's really important to view how these systems connect. So one of the call-outs that we've seen is that get adder is potentially not a malicious call. That's something that I hold firmly the opposite opinion.
In a model file.
In a model file, because that get attribute call effectively allows you to access environment variables as well as remote code execution. And when you pair that alongside an open source library that surprise has been compromised, the remote code that it wants to execute is next door. Like that is the attack in the house and running, and you did not have the visibility. And they're, Ultralytics, they're doing the best they can to provide a reliable product. They're trying to do security effectively. They've made patches, they've made updates, like they're doing the right thing, but you need additional resources kind of complementing what they're doing, your traditional cyber boundaries, to make sure that you're kind of getting covered from multiple sides.
Yeah, and I think that's why we correctly classified it as an issue and a risk and a concern. So any other, potential things that you see around the corner that might be coming, what do we worry about, as the product leader for Guardian and what we do there?
Yeah, so there are kind of a number of other threats we didn't dig into. One of the more interesting ones that we're seeing emerge pretty frequently is called a neural backdoor. That's effectively where
someone... And that's not what this was, right?
No, this was not. This is a totally different threat. But what's happening is you have someone who has decided that they do know a lot about machine learning, and to prove how much they know and how much they want to cause harm to you, they're basically creating an alternate path of those neural layers within a model with a very specific prompt. So it's not like a traditional adversarial like backdoor attack where you might poison the data set. Here you're actually altering the structure of the model, and you're basically creating a model that becomes a mature Centurion candidate. So the second it's live in usage, they can start polling endpoints where they think the model might be used. This is something that we've observed after, like, let's say a big open source model is released. Everyone's fine tuning it. They're trying to like make a model that's good for D&D. Some people want to make one that's good for like insurance support. You got all these different use cases. Everyone's experimenting with it. Being able to like stop that kind of threat really quickly is very important.
And that's unique IP that we have.
Yes.
We're the only ones in the market that know.
That was a very fun project to like put together and get to go. Yeah. So
it was a lot of fun.
We've got that, and then also we think the model security really is just the first part of doing AI security correctly. So you're scanning, is this model causing harm? Does it have a potential to cause harm that I can't accept that risk tolerance? Again, putting crypto mining next to really beefy GPUs, not a great recipe there. Great for if you want crypto. But we also see that you need to be able to define a security posture, and like AI red teaming, know that you're actually building a product that has the right guardrails in place, it's behaving the way you expect it, and then you need other tools for when you're actually running these workloads at scale that are doing your observability, your monitoring, and kind of firewalling. And that's all the stuff we're excited to be bringing.
That's great. So, we have a very clear view of what is and is not a threat. It is accepted and adopted by our customers and governments across the globe. And it's just really exciting to be at the forefront and be kind of the knowledge experts in these domains, and enjoying that leadership courtesy of you and so many of the talented people here.
Lots of those.
And really the product and the readiness that you were showing on the webinar, others. If you're out there and you really want to learn more about this, please reach out. We'd love to give you a demo, activate you with one of our many great partners, or check it out for yourself and see what's going on Insights, the database that gives a lot of threat components there. And until next time, until the next attack that we can talk about, which there are more
2 weeks
coming.
later,
2 weeks later,
something else
2
is
weeks.
gonna pop
It's
up,
going to be coming sooner than that. Just want to say thanks again, Chris, and thanks for all you're doing for our customers and for the industry at large.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
See you.